The first speaker in this afternoon session is Anna Cadore, who will speak about families of abelian varieties with a common isogeny factor.
So, thank you very much for the invitation. The starting point of my talk is a very simple question, simple to state, but not that easy to answer. So let me state it first. So I will fix for all the talk a field K of characteristic P and X, as usual, a smooth separated geometrically connected scheme over K. I will write eta for the generic point. And so the starting point is the following question. So it was raised by Rossler and Samueli. I think the paper was published in 2017, but I was aware of the question. Oh, I forgot to say something which I also forgot to say in the abstract. This is joint with Akio Tamagawa. So I'm very sorry that I forgot to mention this in my title. So the question is the following. So you have an abelian scheme A over X. And you fix also an abelian variety over K. So you can, I will call it A1 0. So you can just look at the constant abelian scheme it induces. So if I call this P, the constant abelian scheme induced over X, which I will just denote by A1. And if you assume that for every cross point on X, the geometric fiber of A1 is an isogeny factor of the geometric fiber of R, does this imply that the same is true generically, that is, that the geometric generic fiber of A1 is an isogeny factor of the geometric generic fiber of A. So I would like to try to give a partial answer to this question and explain why it should have a positive answer in general. So first, the first remark is that if K is a finitely generated field, using the Tate conjecture, we can give a representation or shift theoretic reformulation of this question. And I will rather discuss the problem in this setting. So before reformulating it, I will introduce a bit of terminology. It's a bit annoying, but we are not working with really fiber over X, but over the geometric point associated to X. So this imposes that we will always have to play with some finite field extension. So I will try and summarize this by the notion of almost pi module, and where pi is a profinite group, so it's just a terminology for convenience. So let's denote by mod QL of pi the category, the usual category of finite dimensional QL vector space endowed with a continuous action of pi. And the category of almost QL pi module is just defined as a category whose objects are inductive limit over all open subgroup of pi of the category of continuous QL representation. Sorry?
What is the index? How do you read the index?
Open subgroup. No.
Mod sub
QL. Ah, sorry. Yes. And the L is the L that I will associate. And the morphisms are, as you may guess, a morphism from an almost QL P module V1 to an almost P module V2 is just the inductive limit. The morphism, U equivariant morphism from V1 viewed as a U module to V2 viewed as a U module, where U describe all open subgroup of pi such that V1 and V2 are endowed with a U action. So are U modules. And the only thing which is perhaps not... So the only thing which is... So this category of almost Q module is an abelian category, and there is a tautological functor from the category of P module to the category of almost P module, which makes the usual category an abelian subcategory of the category of almost module. And since QL has characteristic 0, you can also define you have a well-defined semi-simplification functor. So namely, if pi acts on V semi-simply, this implies that any open subgroup of pi also act on P, on V, sorry, semi-simply. So this gives you, and I will use this well-defined semi-simplification functor. There is nothing mysterious. You just take something, an almost P module, so it's a module over an open subgroup U of pi, and you take the U semi-simplification. So for any U. Okay, and and the other thing I would like to say about this category is a funny lemma, which is probably already known to some of you, which is the following. So if you take two P module, and if you fix, so as pi is a profinite group and it acts continuously, you can always find some ZL, some P stable ZL lattice. And if you assume that pi acts trivially on the reduction of this modulo L of this lattice, then actually any morphism in the category of almost QL module between V1 and V2 is already defined over P. So if you look at the morphism, the natural embedding is morphism as pi module to morphism as almost pi module. This is an isomorphism. So if you have a morphism between V1 and V2, which is U equivariant for an open subgroup of pi, it is actually pi equivariant. Okay, this is the meaning of this. Okay. So now with the terminology of almost module, I will reformulate the original question, and I will actually reformulate it, give a somewhat a more general statement, a more general question. So here I have explained things with the terminology of module, but a module, a pi1 of x module, we call that. So you have, I will use interchangeably the notion of Lis QL sheaf. So F Lis QL sheaf on X, it's exactly the same thing as pi1 of X continuous QL module. So in general, using the terminology of sheaves is a little less heavy for notation. So here is the general question. So you still have your variety x over k, and you take some points, some close point, x. And on x, I'm going to consider some Lis QL sheaf, so F and the family F1, Fr of Lis QL sheaves. And the question is the following. So let sigma denote the set of close points such that there exists one I and one index, such that if you look at the pullback of Fi over Kx, this is just, if you prefer, a pi1 of a module under the absolute Galois group of Kx. So this is almost a subsheaf of the inverse image of F. Okay? So this is just a definition. So this set depends on F and the family F1 to Fr. And the question is if sigma is large enough, does this imply that there exists one I such that Fi is almost a subsheaf of F? So here, concretely, almost a subsheaf means just after an étale cover, Fi becomes a subsheaf of F. So of course, here you can try and make some variation about what large enough mean. So in Rossler and Samuel equation, large enough was the largest possible option. That is, sigma is all the set of close points. But you may ask for Waker largeness assumption, like I don't know, Zariski density or analytic density, or depending. And as we will see also, when the base field is finite, Dirichlet density. And so if we, so I don't erase this picture. So so an example of the general question is if you take for F the higher direct image, so if I call F this abelian scheme, if you take for F this sheaf, and for F1 this one, so I call this F1. So using the Tate conjecture, so question 1 is equivalent to question 2. Okay, so this is really a generalization of question 1. So I will start by giving a positive answer to question 2 in a situation which covers almost all cases. So proposition.
Sorry, what is F1? I mean, little F1.
So which F? So this one is this.
Oh.
So if K is inversion, then and you take for sigma, you assume that sigma is all the set of all close points. Then question 2 has a positive answer. And the proof is really not difficult. It's basically the definition of being inversion plus some kind of Fratini argument to pass from finite cover to L-adic cover. So this kind of argument is, I think, goes back to Serre in the 80s, and possibly someone, maybe Victor Assoma. So it covers, for instance, the case of all finitely generated field, all infinite finitely generated field. And using this result, you have the following corollary about abelian varieties. So if K is not contained in the algebraic closure of a closed field, and if you fix abelian variety A1, abelian scheme A1 to A over X, so if for all close point X there exists an index such that X, the geometric fiber of AI over X is an isogeny factor of the geometric fiber of A over X, then there exists an index I such that the geometric generic fiber of AI is an isogeny factor of the generic fiber of A. So this is a more general question than the original one, because we allow not only one but finitely many abelian scheme AI, and also we don't take them constant, they are allowed to, they are arbitrary. Okay. And the proof of this is by descent, you reduce to K finitely generated, and then you just apply the proposition plus the Tate conjecture. Okay? And so the key point behind this is just that basically the absolute Galois group of an Hilbertian field is big. And the Hilbertian property ensures that you can always find a close point X in sigma, if sigma is large enough, such that the image of the absolute Galois group of the residue field of your close point acting on the geometric fiber of your sheaves coincide with the wall image of the étale fundamental group of X. So this is just what is behind.
Oh, but this thing, there's no non-isotriviality hypothesis here for this one?
No.
So why is it necessary to assume, I mean, if K is in FP bar, I mean, it seems so the A's could all be defined over FP bar?
That's a good point. I have to think.
Okay. Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe. If there is no isotriviality, non-isotriviality assumption, if these are defined over FP, well, maybe just it's difficult to answer a question on the blackboard, but yeah. Okay. So what I would like to, what is really the interesting part of the problem is when the base field is finite. And actually, I should say that this was the original question of the original setting of the question of Rossler and Samueli. So first remark is that that question 2 fails in general. I can give 2 examples. So one is that if you take for x just GM, the one-dimensional torus, and you look at the sheaf corresponding to the representation, no, sorry, you first consider the representation of the étale fundamental group, which is just defined by, so here this is the tautology structural morphism corresponding to, so this is, the morphism at the level of étale fundamental group corresponding to the structural morphism of X, and you compose it with the cyclotomic character, the L-adic cyclotomic character. And you take a one cocycle of pi1 of X which is not geometrically trivial, namely if you look at the class of this cocycle here. You want it to be non-zero. Then in that case, you can take for f the sheaves corresponding to the representation, to this representation, and for f1 the sheaf corresponding to this representation. And you see that in that case you have sigma is indeed the set of all closed points, but f1 is not isomorphic to f, because this one is not semi-simple, while this one is. So at least you need some semi-simplicity assumption. Where is my question 2? Ah, yeah. So at least you should replace in the statement here you should work everywhere with semi-simplification to make this, to avoid this kind of counterexample. And so maybe. The other counterexample is perhaps a little more annoying. So now I take again an abelian scheme. And I assume that it has, so I will, G-dimensional abelian scheme, relative dimension G. And I assume that it has big geometric monodromy. That is, if I denote by, thing, but if I look at the image of the geometric étale fundamental group on the Tate module, and I take the Zariski closure, I ask that it be the symplectic group. And so consider the pi1 of x module, which is the set of corresponds to the endomorphism of the geometric generic Tate module. And let f be the sheaf corresponding to the pi1 of x module defined as E modified by just the line generated by the identity. And take for f1 just trivial pi1 of x module. Okay, so in this setting, because of the large monodromy assumption, the only invariant, pi1 invariant element in E is the identity. And because the action is semi-simple, this implies that you have no, even that for any open subgroup U of X, you have no invariant at all on V. While if you look at close point, you always have the Frobenius, which gives you a non-zero invariant element. Okay, so here it's again you have so question 2 fails, and here it's a little more annoying compared with what you expect, because this kind of representation is relatively nice. It comes from a motifs. So it seems that even for the motifs, by which I mean, it seems that even for motivic representation, question 2 fails, and by motivic, here I just mean something which is a factor of a higher direct image of a smooth proper morphism. So the point is rather to understand why does the question 2, the positive answer to question 2 fails here. And this is what I would like to explain. So I will, however, start with a case where there is always a positive answer, which is an easy case. When the rank of the Fi is equal to the rank of F. So this situation is much easier than the general one. In that case, basically, question 2 always has a positive answer. So here, of course, the rank is much smaller, of F1 is much smaller than the rank of F. So the statement is the following. So I need to just introduce G, which is just the Zariski closure, so the arithmetic monodromy, that is the Zariski closure of the image, the étale fundamental group of X, acting on the geometric generic fiber of the direct sum of all my sheaves. And the statement is, so it's the Zariski closure. So if for simplicity, I denote this by V, V1, VR, so this is just a subgroup of And the statement is that if the upper Dirichlet density of sigma is larger than 1 minus the inverse of the number of connected components of G, then there exists an index. So the question 2 has a positive answer, namely there exists an index I such that the semi-simplification of Fi is almost a subsheaf of the semi-simplification of F. Okay? And so here, the large enough property of sigma, which is sufficient to ensure a positive answer to question 2, is in terms of the upper Dirichlet density, which is something which is well adapted to a finite field situation. And so you have the expected corollary about abelian variety using the Tate conjecture. So I stated to have a concrete, more concrete statement. So as before, if you take a family of abelian scheme over X, and if you assume that the set of all close points such that there exists an index where the geometric fiber of AI is isogenous to the geometric fiber of X, then so if this set has upper density strictly larger than this, for instance, if you want to forget about what this G is, just 1. Or, and if you are connected, this is you can replace 1 by 0, which is nice. Then there exists I such that AI, the geometric generic fiber of AI, is isogenous to the geometric generic fiber of A. Okay. So actually, it's yes, it's a proposition. It's not very difficult to prove, and maybe I can even give the proof of it. So it basically only uses some elementary property of Dirichlet density and the Chebotarev density theorem. So I will use the following notation. So I will denote by so if I have a sheaf F on X, a least QL sheaf on F, so it corresponds to a representation of the étale fundamental group of the finite dimensional QL vector space. And I will denote by, if I denote by G the Zariski closure of the image of this representation. And if I have a closed union of conjugacy class in the image of rho, so a union of conjugacy classes, I can look at the set of closed points whose Frobenius belongs to phi. So what I denote by phi x is here is a geometric Frobenius at x. And conversely, if I have a subset of close points, I can look at the union of conjugacy class for all close points in sigma of the Frobenius. This is not necessarily a closed subset of the image of rho, but this doesn't play, is not important for the proof. And the general fact we need, so I'm stating all what we need for the proof of this proposition, and maybe the proof of the theorem later, if I reach this part of the talk. Ever. So a good reference for, I think, for all this kind of relationship between sigma and phi sigma is the book by Serre, Lectures on first, if the density of sigma phi is 0, which is also equivalent to the upper density to be 0, so this is equivalent to the interior of phi to be empty. And in particular, if you have positive density, then phi generates topologically an open subgroup. The important fact is that if the density, the upper density of sigma is larger than this, then phi sigma is Zariski dense in G. And if you even have density 1, upper density 1, then you can replace Zariski density by analytic density. So this is Chebotarev density theorem. Okay, so now we can try and prove the proposition. So first, well, by some reduction, one may assume that G is connected and replace up to replacing the assumption on density by a positive just positive density instead of sorry. Yes, instead of density, upper density larger than 1 minus this. Then you can just reintroduce. So the idea is to use that a semi-simple sheaf is determined by its characteristic polynomial. So you introduce the variety of all A plus 1 tuple of element in GLV times GLV1, GLV1, such that the characteristic polynomial of GI is the same as the characteristic polynomial of G. So here we use really that all the rank of the Fi are the same as the rank of F. And you can also choose some Pi1 of x stable ZL lattice in V and Vi, so I denote them by H and Hi, and define and set N to be the GCD of the order of the element in the finite group photomorphism of H over L, because I want to apply the lemma I stated about the fact that if you have some almost module such that Pi1 of x acts trivially on some reduction of some ZL lattice, then being a morphism between those almost modules, which is U equivalent for an open subgroup of Pi1 of x, is actually Pi1 of x equivalent. So this is what I want to use. And so let alpha n be the multiplication by the exponential to n on so G. So this is just G goes to Gn. So precisely the lemma I've just recalled. Implies that your set phi sigma is contained in the union of all the inverse image of the set of QL points of Si via alpha n. So the Zariski closure of phi sigma is contained in the union of this subvariety, but this is by the density assumption, this is G, which I assume to be connected, so this is irreducible. And so there exists at least one I such that G is contained in. And so this gives you the good I. Because if you use the fact that the multiplication by n is a local homeomorphism near 1, for instance, you can look at the Lie algebra. This implies that there exists an open subgroup of the étale fundamental group, so which corresponds to a finite étale cover of X, normal open subgroup, such that the image of this open subgroup is contained in the group of, in the set of QL point of Si. And so you are alone because, as I said, a sheaf, a semi-simple sheaf is characterized by the characteristic polynomial of Frobenius, the LAD QL sheaf. So this implies that if you look the restriction of Fi to Xu and take the semi-simplification, it is indeed. Okay, so it's not very difficult. And so now comes the last and possibly most interesting case when the rank of F is strictly smaller. The rank of Fi, sorry. Strictly smaller than the rank of F. So in this setting, we are not able to deal with the general form of question 2 as stated before. We can only deal with a special case, but, which is basically the one coming from the original question of Rossler and Saint-Mémy. So namely, first we need F to be part of a compatible system of sheaves, so it has to be the Hell's term of a pure Q-compatible system of these sheaves on X. And so, for example, you can take for F the higher direct image of a smooth proper morphism. So let me write G again for the image, the RST closure of the image of the arithmetic monodromy on the fiber. I will again denote by V this fiber. And what is going to play a crucial part is, so inside G you have also the image of the geometric monodromy, which I denote by a bar. So it's exactly the same definition, but you replace pi 1 of x by geometric pi 1. So Q compatible means that if you look at the characteristic polynomial of Frobenius, it has coefficient in a number field and it is independent of L. And inside this, you take a maximal torus. So I take a maximal torus of the geometric monodromy. And so the theorem here is the following. So it says that after possibly replacing K by a finite field extension, if you look at the weight zero part of the representation of G bar, that is a vector space of T bar invariant. So this is canonically equipped with a continuous action of the absolute Galois group of the base. So you can consider this as a Lis QL sheaf on spec K, as you want. Which is semi-simple, independent of the choice of your maximal torus and satisfies the following three properties. So first, if you take any close point, so I mean, need some notation. So here I have my x over k. I take a point x, I will denote by p the structural morphism. So I have my here I have my sheaf, QL sheaf corresponding to this pi 1 of k representation. And so if you take, and here you have your sheaf f you started with. And so for any close point, if you look at the inverse image of yes. So I will call gamma just the inverse image of gamma naught. So this is always a subsheaf of the inverse image of f. So if you pull those two back to x, this one is always a subsheaf of this one. Second, if you take any semi-simple QL sheaf on spec K, So you take, sorry, not two, here. And you take the inverse image here on X. And so if the upper density of the, so sigma is still my set of close points such that the inverse image of F1 up to semi-simplification is almost a subsheaf of the inverse image of F up to semi-simplification over F over small x. So if this has the density 1, upper density 1, then F1 sorry, is almost, everything is semi-simple, so it's okay, is almost a subsheaf of this gamma. And last, this sheaf gamma is a Q rational and independent of F. Gamma 0 is Q rational and independent of F. So it's really somewhat of motivic nature. Okay? And so here you have, in this picture, you have a sheaf which would be, which is related to the question of Rosser and Samueli, which is the one which I will denote by I. So this sheaf here corresponds to the fiber of the sheaf, if you want, is the set of invariant under the maximal torus of the geometric monodromy. Inside this, you have the set of invariant under the geometric monodromy. And this corresponds, if you want, this is morally the isotrivial part of the sheaf. So this corresponds to a sheaf I, which is a subsheaf of V. And it is also a sheaf, and this is actually a constant sheaf, so it comes from a sheaf, sorry, I naught on K, which is a subsheaf over K of gamma naught. But this sheaf here is not directly related to F. It's not there is no action, natural action of the pi1 of X of here. Whereas here, the action of pi1 of X, there is a natural action of pi1 of X, which is just through okay, so this is basically the isotrivial part. And this is morally, or rather this one is the largest almost common factor of the sheaf okay, and this is this sheaf, this gamma naught that we call the ghost, just to have a fancy terminology, the ghost of F. And it is this, this ghost which somewhat measures the obstruction to a positive answer to question 2. Because so we have the following corollary. Assume that the isotrivial part coincide with the ghost, which is just the same thing as requiring that there is no non-trivial zero weight in the representation of the geometric monodromy. Then, with the notation of 2, the theorem, if the upper density of sigma is 1, then theorem 2 tells you that F1 is almost a subsheaf of the ghost, but this one just coincides with the trivial part, the isotrivial part of F, and it is a subsheaf of F. So you indeed have that F1 is almost a subsheaf of F. Okay? But except in this case, in general, the ghost is not a subsheaf of F, and you only have a factorization of F1 through the ghost. Okay? That's the problem. And so I would like to explain now why, in view of this theorem, the question of Rosser and Someni should have a positive answer. So the first remark is that by the theory of on-datate theory, it's not very difficult to show that, so in the situation of Rosser and Someni equation, we have A over X an abelian scheme. And you can, so if I take for F, so the higher direct image of UL, the corresponding ghost is the higher direct image of a constant abelian variety over K. Okay? So morally, this A is a common, so this is the largest common isogeny factor. Just of the fiber, of the geometric fiber at all close points. And we would like to show that the pullback, the constant, the corresponding constant abelian scheme, we would like to show that this is a subscheme of R after an étale cover. And so for this, we just need, by the theorem, to show that the ghost vanishes, or in more concrete terms, that there is no non-trivial zero weight. This is just what we need to show. And this is actually predicted. So this is just what you need. And so this is predicted by a conjecture of Zarin called the microweight conjecture. Which says that in this special case where the sheaf F is the one corresponding to the Tate module of an abelian variety. So in that very specific situation, we should have the following. So this is really the conjecture of Zarin. So it goes back to 85. Every simple factor of the geometric objet, sorry. Objet has root system of type ABCD, and the weight, the non-zero highest weight appearing in V are microweights, whence the name of the conjecture. And this, by the classification of algebraic, of a semi-simple algebraic group, implies, in particular, this property. Okay, so this equality in the case of the Tate module of an abelian variety is a consequence, is predicted by Zarin's microweight conjecture. So Zarin's conjecture was proved by himself when A over X is a generically ordinary. So it's in the same paper. And so it is also known, so I don't want to give the precise definition, but when your abelian scheme lifts to characteristic 0, because in that case, you need a good lift to be able to compare the geometric monodromy on the special and characteristic 0 geometric fiber. But if you have such a good lift, you can reduce the microweight conjecture over a field of positive characteristic to the case of the microweight conjecture over number field, which was proved by Pink in 1908. So I think I will have to stop. Well, I could have given the construction of the ghost, but maybe. If it's a purely representation theoretic, I don't know how to. Actually, I have no idea of.
So if the conjecture formulates any representation of the fundamental group, or is it?
No, this is a representation for the one coming, the H1 of an Tate module of an abelian variety.
Right. So it's a priori not entirely a representation theoretic.
No. Yeah. It has some geometric.
Any other questions? Thanks, Mr. Again, and meet